Hello and welcome to YNWA Transfer News, your ultimate source for all Liverpool FC transfer news. Our first news is this. Florian Wirtz agreement reached with clear verdict on Liverpool ace. Liverpool attacking midfielder Florian Wirtz has been criticized in some quarters since his move to Anfield this summer. But the verdict in Germany is clear. Moving to the Premier League for a fee of around $157,116 million, the belief in Wirtz's homeland is that he will come good at Liverpool sooner rather than later. Quite simply, he is too talented not to. The boy is hardworking, shows energy on and off the pitch, German teammate David Raum said this week. He was one of the players on the pitch the longest again today. We believe in the boy, and we're building him up here, but he knows what he's capable of. Germany legends Bastian Schweinsteiger and Philipp Lahm are also in agreement about Wirtz after the 22-year-old's slowish start to life on Merseyside. We have to give the players a bit of time, Schweinsteiger said, via RTL. Especially when you move from the Bundesliga to the Premier League, you also have to adjust a bit. I've experienced that myself. He will delight us all in the future. Florian Wirtz is a fantastic footballer, a great character. We should be happy that we have such a player in Germany. I'm not worried about Florian Wirtz at all because he's such an outstanding, brilliant player who simply makes his teammates better, Lahm added. Quality and class always prevail, and that will absolutely be the case with Florian Wirtz. Last month, Bayern Munich CEO Karl-Heinz Rummenigge said Wirtz would have been better off signing for the Bundesliga giant rather than moving to England. From a club representative's perspective, I can understand the statement about one of Germany's best players if he didn't join his own club, and we shed a tear for him. DFB Managing Director Andreas Rettig responded. One thing is clear. Florian will prevail at Liverpool, there's no debate about that. With a player of his quality, no one can seriously say he won't prevail. Germany will play Northern Ireland and Luxembourg this week in World Cup qualifying. Wirtz scored against the former in the last international break and will hope to repeat the trick. Liverpool returns to action in 11 days against Manchester United. Alexander Isak's transfer to Liverpool delayed by Newcastle for clever reason. Liverpool have been given a theory as to why Newcastle United may have delayed finalizing a deal for Alexander Isak. The Reds secured the Swedish international from the Magpies on transfer deadline day after months of rumors. Isak joined Liverpool in a record-breaking $125 million deal, making him the most expensive signing in both Anfield and British transfer history. Since his move to Merseyside, the striker has netted one goal, having been assigned an individual fitness program following his departure from St. James's Park. Prior to his move to Liverpool, Isak was training separately from the Newcastle first team squad and hadn't made a single appearance during pre-season or in the Premier League this term. Consequently, the 26-year-old has been working on his fitness since joining the Reds and has started the last two top-flight matches. Former Newcastle star Jeff Hendrick, who spent 4 years at Tyneside before departing in the summer of 2024, has offered a theory as to why Isak's transfer to Liverpool wasn't finalized until the very end of the transfer window. If his situation was a year earlier, I would have crossed paths with him in the bomb squad, Hendrick revealed in a chat with Boyle Sports. Unfortunately, I didn't. I was probably more surprised by how long it drew out publicly, 2 months. Who knows? Before they broke up for summer, there was talk of stuff being guaranteed behind closed doors. It must have been the case for him to push it that much. I think it was always going to happen, even a month out. It was inevitable. There couldn't be a U-turn. The fans weren't happy. Then it was more Newcastle dragging it out, waiting to line up the player they wanted. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a little bit of tactics involved. Let's send him to Liverpool not fit. He won't have had a proper pre-season. They're going to have to get him fit. They've got a backlog of games. Because if you look at it, he's obviously played a couple of games, but he's not an Alexander Isak of $120 million. so it's probably clever from them. Isak's next opportunity to play for Liverpool will be on October 19th, when the reigning Premier League champions host Manchester United in the Premier League. The game will see Isak and Comer look to end Liverpool's current run of 3 consecutive defeats, having not won a game since beating Southampton in the Carabao Cup last month. Arne Slot told Mo Salah is now a problem. Liverpool have entered the international window on the back of 3 consecutive defeats. It's the first time during Arne Slot's management that the Reds have suffered that fate, and they will no doubt be hoping to realign their season against Manchester United on October 19th. One of the most prominent issues that the Premier League champions need to sort out concerns Mohamed Salah. The Egyptian king has got 3 goals and 3 assists across 10 appearances in all competitions. But there is something not quite right at present. It seems as though the 33-year-old is struggling for involvement in games, and his defensive contributions have also been brought under scrutiny. Liverpool taking punishment down right side. The defeat to Chelsea saw Enzo Maresca's side utilize Marc Cucurella high up on the Blues' left-hand side, putting the likes of Connor Bradley and Dominik Szoboszlai under pressure in the right-back slot. Too often the Reds' defenders on that side were facing a mismatch in terms of numbers, as Salah lingered further forward awaiting the ball in transition. But Liverpool are malfunctioning right now, and Salah was more often than not left isolated, without the ball while the pressure piled up on his defensive colleagues. That was a point noted by former Liverpool midfielder Danny Murphy, who claimed that Salah's work off the ball is becoming a problem for Slot. Murphy: Salah, a problem. It feels like Mohamed Salah's lack of defensive work has become a little problem for Liverpool, especially against the better teams, he said to the BBC. I can totally understand if Reds boss Arne Slot has told Salah not to track back, because waiting high up the pitch on the right for the transition has made him one of the most potent goal scorers in the world. But the players behind him are not covering him correctly, and that has caused a lot of issues for whoever has been at right back this season. Whether that's been Jeremy Frimpong, Connor Bradley, or Dominik Szoboszlai, they are in trouble because they are facing a 2v1 overload down their side. It was a real weakness on Saturday, which led to Chelsea's winner. And the concern must be that more teams will be clever enough to do the same. The other players have to be able to help more and quicker, because it felt like Chelsea were working the ball forwards and then shifting it out to their left, because that's where the space was. The club could soon have a decision to make over their top goal scorer, who is contracted until 2027. He will be turning 35 by the time that contract expires, and there remains an opportunity to cash in next summer if his form fails to turn around. No doubt Saudi clubs would be interested in adding Salah to the ranks, and it would also allow Richard Hughes to make back some money on the former Roma player, who is now making $400K per week. Galatasaray reportedly targets shock transfer for Liverpool icon Mohamed Salah. Turkey's Galatasaray has reportedly approached English powerhouse Liverpool's iconic Egyptian forward Mohamed Salah about a potential move, with the player said to be open to the transfer. According to information obtained by Goal Gossip from sources familiar with the matter, direct talks have already been held between the Istanbul club and representatives of the 32-year-old player. Talks progress as Galatasaray plans winter transfer. Push Salah is said to have been impressed by Galatasaray's recent performances in European competitions and the atmosphere at Rams Park, the club's stadium in Istanbul, where the Turkish champions secured a 1-0 victory over Liverpool in the UEFA Champions League's second week. Early discussions with his representatives were described as positive, keeping the door open for further negotiations. Galatasaray is aiming to finalize the transfer in the upcoming winter transfer window, the report said. If an agreement cannot be reached by then, officials are expected to revisit the deal at the end of the current season. A final decision on Salah's future is anticipated before the close of this year. If completed, the transfer would bring one of the most prominent figures in world football to Turkey, strengthening Galatasaray's ambitions both domestically and in European competition. Liverpool's talisman, Mohamed Salah, Transfermarkt, a widely used football valuation platform, estimates Salah's market value at $58 million, while his current contract with Liverpool runs until the summer of 2027. Mohamed Salah, who joined Liverpool from AS Roma in 2017, has become one of the club's most prolific players, scoring over 180 goals and providing numerous assists in over 300 Premier League appearances. During his time at Anfield, he has won the Premier League, the UEFA Champions League, the FIFA Club World Cup, and multiple domestic cups. Last season, he delivered 29 goals and 18 assists, playing a decisive role in Liverpool's title win and earning both the FWA Footballer of the Year and the PFA Players Player of the Year awards. Liverpool transfer news as Mark Guehi waiting and Richard Hughes spots 101 Lemmater chance. January might still nearly 3 months away, but already there is plenty of speculation that Liverpool could look to do more business in the new year. Arne Slot's side is yet to find its feet following its summer overhaul, and the jury is still out on the likes of Florian Wirtz and Alexander Isak after what has been a difficult start for the Reds' new signings. Nevertheless, plenty more names are being linked with a move to Anfield in the near future. Not least Mark Guehi after he missed out on the opportunity on deadline day. If the latest reports are anything to go by, though, Liverpool may have to get a move on. Mark Guehi, Crystal Palace. Mark Guehi is waiting to see whether Real Madrid will make a move for him. According to Sky Germany's Florian Plettenberg, Liverpool is still giving everything to sign the Crystal Palace defender on a free transfer next summer, and talks are said to be ongoing. Barcelona, though, has apparently also made its interest concrete, while Bayern Munich is also claimed to be in talks with Guehi's camp. As things stand, Guehi would be able to negotiate a pre-contract agreement with any foreign club from January onwards, which would give the likes of Real, Barca, and Bayern an advantage over Liverpool. Antoine Semenyo, Bournemouth, Liverpool's sporting director. Richard Hughes is a big admirer of Antoine Semenyo as Bournemouth braces itself for serious interest in its star forward. According to TalkSport, both Tottenham and Manchester United are said to be monitoring the 25-year-old after holding talks with him before he signed a new deal with the Cherries, and Liverpool could also be in the running for his signature. Hughes is claimed to be a fan after signing him from Bristol City during his time on the South Coast. Bournemouth reportedly values him at over €101,075 million, with Semenyo second only to Erling Haaland in the Premier League's top scorers so far this season, with 6 goals and 3 assists. Liverpool told Newcastle delayed 125 million Alexander Isak transfer for brutal reason. Liverpool have been told a theory as to why Newcastle United may have delayed reaching an agreement over a deal for Alexander Isak. The Reds signed the Sweden international from the Magpies on transfer deadline day. Following months of speculation, Isak signed for Liverpool in a deal worth $125 million to become the most expensive signing in Anfield and British transfer history. The striker has scored 1 goal for the Reds since his move to Merseyside, having been given an individual program to work on his fitness following his arrival from St. James's Park. Before signing for Liverpool, Isak was training away from the Newcastle first-team squad and had not made a single appearance during pre-season or in the Premier League. As a result, the 26-year-old has been building up his fitness since joining the Reds and has started the last 2 top-flight matches. Former Newcastle midfielder Jeff Hendrick, who spent 4 years on Tyneside before leaving in the summer of 2024, has provided a theory as to why Isak's move to Liverpool was not completed until the very end of the transfer window. If his situation was a year earlier, I would have crossed paths with him in the bomb squad, said Hendrick in an interview with Boyle Sports. Unfortunately, I didn't. I was probably more surprised by how long it drew out publicly. 2 months. Who knows, before they broke up for summer. There was talk of stuff being guaranteed behind closed doors. It must have been the case for him to push it that much. I think it was always going to happen, even a month out. It was inevitable there couldn't be a U-turn. The fans weren't happy. Then it was more Newcastle dragging it out, waiting to line up the player they wanted. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a little bit of tactics involved. Let's send him to Liverpool not fit. He won't have had a proper preseason. They're going to have to get him fit. They've got a backlog of games, because if you look at it, he's obviously played a couple of games, but he's not an Alexander Isak of 120 million. So it's probably clever from them. Liverpool handed Mark Guehi warning as Crystal Palace legend shares transfer box seat theory. Liverpool are no longer favorites to sign. Mark Guehi, according to Crystal Palace legend Alan Pardew. The Reds agreed a 35 million deal to snap up the England international this summer, only to see the move collapse on transfer deadline day after the Eagles failed to sign a replacement. The 25-year-old is out of contract at the end of the season and is still expected to leave Selhurst Park, while Liverpool remain interested in his services. However, the Reds had not been expected to make a mid-season move for the defender in January, given his looming free transfer status. It remains to be seen if that stance will change, though, after Giovanni Leone suffered a season-ending ACL injury on his Liverpool debut. Arne Slot is now down to 3 senior center-back options, in Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahima Konate, and Joe Gomez, though has pointed out in the past that Ryan Gravenberch, Wataru Endo, and Andy Robertson can all play in the heart of defense if needed, to further complicate the Reds' center-back situation. The futures of both Konate and Gomez also remain uncertain. Like Guehi, France international Konate is out of contract at the end of the season, while he continues to be linked with a move to Real Madrid. Meanwhile, Gomez was the subject of interest from the likes of AC Milan and Brighton and Hove Albion during the summer. Liverpool are anticipated to make changes at centre-back in 2026 as a result. But Pardew, who enjoyed successful stints with Palace as both player and manager, has warned the Reds they're no longer in the box seat to sign. Guehi amid growing interest in his services across Europe. My guess is that internationally will be an option because of that January clause where a club can sign him, he told Sky Sports. I think Munich are in the box seat, and I think that's similar to Real Madrid. They have a similar model. They're looking for some kind of influence and change and value to their signings. So he'll play for any of them teams, and I think it'll be brilliant for England in the World Cup. The bottom line is what we have here is an outstanding individual as a footballer and as a personality, and every club will want him. Mark has ended up, in my view, in a better position than if he'd have moved to Liverpool. He's now perhaps even still got Liverpool, so who knows? He's in a great position. I know he's a real family person, and I know his father is very influential, and I think between them the decision will be made. Thank you for watching. Like and comment, subscribe.